just a week, 16 civilians were killed and 98 wounded in the Belgorod region. We are evacuating a large number of villages, and now we are planning to evacuate about 9,000 children.
Well, Andreas Umland is an analyst at the Stockholm Centre for Eastern European Studies and joins us live now from Stockholm. And Andreas, thank you very much for your time this evening. Now, Russian authorities are planning to evacuate thousands of children here from the Belgorod border region. Are these Ukrainian children? Will they be taken away from their families? And have you any idea where they'll go? We're not being given much information here.
Frankly, I doubt that this is really about children. I think the children come up here because Putin himself has been is now being searched by the International Criminal Court for having been engaged in the deportation of Ukrainian children from Ukraine to Russia, and some think this is actually a form of genocide. No, I think what may be happening here is that these border regions have now indeed become involved in the battles, and that perhaps Russia is indeed transporting civilians out of this region, and it's mentioning the children just because children deportations are a topic now in this whole war. The attacks on these border regions from the Ukrainian side have been largely done by Russian units that fight on Ukraine's side and that enter Russian territory and have been partly responsible for these attacks. But these were, of course, not terrorist attacks, as Putin says. They were just military attacks.
And Andreas, would you say that Ukraine is increasingly using its long-range firepower to hit oil refineries and depots deep inside Russia? Would you say that this is a sign that it's working because Russia's having to evacuate people from the region? And how much political pressure do you think this is putting on Putin right now?
Yes, these attacks on industrial installations have become more and more frequent and also at least partly successful. And there are lots of pictures that illustrate that. The damage that is done in the border regions, it's largely collateral damage. Ukraine has no interest in terrorizing civilians, but it is, of course, using also its artillery and its drones and missiles to attack positions, military positions in Russia, and then partly these missiles and drones and so on are shot down, and then there are indeed then civilians also sometimes killed on the Russian side, although one should say on a much smaller scale. And as I said, these are collateral damages. Ukraine has no ammunition and no spare missiles to shoot at civilians. It's using what it has in terms of ammunition and drones and missiles to attack military aims.
You mentioned the shortage there of ammunition and weapons. Now, the US can't seem to get the $60 billion defense aid package through Congress. What will Ukraine do without that money?
For the time being, there seems to be now a solution in that, at least concerning artillery ammunition, an initiative by the Czech president has now led to the acquisition of shells on the world market. So it may be that for the next few months, this problem is resolved. But strategically, of course, the support of the US, the military support of the US for Ukraine is important. And if indeed this support dries up, then the European Union would have to fill in the gap. And currently, that will be difficult for the European Union or other allies of Ukraine to do. And there's now a lot of discussion in Europe about this worst case scenario that the US may drop out of among the supporting countries of Ukraine. I don't think it will happen, but it's better to prepare already now for this worst case scenario.
You mentioned there's plenty of talk in Europe at the moment. Of course, the president of the European Council, Charles Michel, I don't know whether you heard, has warned Russia's invasion of Ukraine poses the greatest security challenge, he said, since World War II. These are strong words. He paints a very bleak picture of Russia's intentions.
Yes, and rightly so, because this is an exceptional war. We had many wars since 1945, but this is a war for territorial expansion. It's not just an occupation. Russia has actually annexed, officially put into its constitution 5 regions of Ukraine. And the war is also a genocidal war, as, for instance, the mass deportation and displacement of Ukrainian children, unaccompanied Ukrainian children, illustrates. It's also a war conducted by a Security Council member, which uses its veto in the Security Council to expand its territory. And it's a war conducted by an official nuclear power under the Non-Proliferation Treaty that uses its atomic weapons to basically secure its territorial gains and to secure its conventional military operation and to scare away all countries that are willing to help Ukraine. And this is partly working, as we see, for instance, now in Germany in the discussion about the Taurus, now famous already, Taurus missiles that Ukraine has requested, but Germany is not ready to deliver.
Andreas, thank you very much for your time this evening. Andreas Umland speaking to us live there from Stockholm.